So we had a big piece of news that dropped on us, but it got totally swept under the rug because of what's been going on the Japanese side of things with Takara Rodimus Commander class and Kingdom and everything like that. So now we finally have a moment to talk about what's going on that happened a few days ago with Transformer Tuesday and Hasbro. So a few different distributors started posting images and pre-orders for a specific kind of product, and then this product ended up on the Hasbro Pulse website officially, and it is that of a Generation 2 inspired G2 Ramjet. Voyager class based off of the Earthrise mold. Now, for people that aren't too familiar with this color scheme, and those people do exist in the Transformer world that are newcomers to it, I'll give you a little history lesson and let you know what's going on here, and then we'll discuss the actual product here that's going on, the pre-orders, and everything that's going on with that especially. So, let's start with it. Back in 93, we had the Generation 2 toy line. Hasbro was taking a lot of their older molds, slightly retooling them, and putting them into the first wave of the Generation 2 toy line. Start the line off on a low-cost basis because Transformers was kind of a bit of a rut at that time. G2 Ramjet was one of those that existed in that first wave. They took the old Generation 1 1985-1986 mold, they retweaked it a little bit, gave it a very 90s flavor color scheme, and gave it a brand new backpack on the top that was a sound gimmick, did little sound effects and everything like that. He had two brand new missiles to meet the 90s standards of missile launchers and I guess the size of a missile as opposed to how it was back in 85 and 86. And the rest was history. Very interesting color scheme of purples, teals, light blues, blacks, and everything like that with some stickers to match the 90s flavor. This design was homaged years later in 2011 when the Transformer Collector Club, through Fun Publication, did their Collector Club figure exclusive of G2 Ramjet. Of course, they used the timely mold at the time of the Generations Deluxe class Ramjet, gave it the G2 flavor. Obviously, it didn't have the little backpack voice box, or what, excuse me, not the voice box, the sound box, but it was what it was. And it was the first time we really got a good throwback to that old G2 color scheme. The final time, really, before what we have today was Sakamoto with his Creo mangas. And Sakamoto, who was a big lore kind of obsessed guy, showed people how you can make different Creos that are not officially available through pre-existing pieces and stuff like that. You take your Creo Slipstream, which did have an official release. You take a few of the other little pieces you get from the actual Ramjet and other kinds of pieces. You slam them together and you have your own little custom Creo G2 Ramjet done with his fictional accurate head. And what do we mean by that exactly? Well, the funny thing about G2 Ramjet is that in every fictional appearance he's had, which is primarily the legendary intro scene from the Generation 2 TV series and CG, and of course all his commercial appearances, every time he sported that color scheme in fiction, he always had a traditional non-conehead Seeker head and a more traditional Seeker wing design, aka like Starscream, Thundercracker, Skywarp, Acid Storm, Sunstorm, and so on and so forth. Probably just due to the limitations of what they were doing with the CG at the time, but that's usually how Ramjet was depicted in those commercials and how he was depicted fictionally. Even when the toy, the Generation 2 1993 toy was being shown, they would never put the cone head up. They do it more in traditional Seeker method, although the wings would be done like how Ramjet always had it, hanging on the side on the lower half of his legs. But if you want to be accurate, you got to have it done in that old Seeker style to match the intro. And what a legendary intro it was. Every single episode of the G2 cartoon was opened with that intro of G2 Ramjet fighting Optimus Prime and then beating the hell out of each other. And of course, this same CG was used for commercials and stuff like that, so pretty cool. Of course, you know how Ramjet was in the comics of Generation 2 by Marvel. He actually had his old Generation 1 color scheme of the whites and blacks, and he had the cone head, so kind of a missed opportunity there by Marvel to cross-promote your product. And now we're here today. So Transformers Generation Selects Voyager WFC GS24 Ramjet. Pre-order price of $29.99, and the pre-orders start today, although there's a caveat with that, and I'll get to that in a moment. So we got here, it's pretty much a straight-up Earthrise Voyager class Ramjet toy, straight-up repaint into the G2 colors. Doesn't have the extra accessory of a little backpack, even though that would have been nice to have. I understand why they didn't include it, because they just wanted it to be a straight-up repaint. Even the old 2011 Ramjet from the Collector Club didn't do that. So, but it would have been nice. You know, you have the 2 peg holes there. They could have like slapped something back there to just add that little extra flavor to it to make it match the original 1993 throwback toy. But it's just the 2 null rays, the color scheme, and that's it. You can't, obviously, because of the limitations of the mold, do the traditional Seeker head or Seeker wings, so you can't even make it look like it did in the commercial. But again, the limitations that exist from that, I'm not going to blame it for it. It is what it is. What is funny, though, is what was written in the blurb by Hasbro on the Hasbro Pulse website. They wrote here, add this special edition Ramjet figure to your Seeker collection, complete with letters across the side of his jet mode that read Ramjet. So he'll never be confused with any others among the Seeker ranks. This is a throwback to a lot of the G2 toys having their names brandished right on them as a sticker. Most famously being Megatron, letting everyone knows Megatron rules on his purple hero repaint back in G2. So, hey, it's again a very important G2 repaint. Again, made the primary appearance on the intro of the G2 cartoon. So it's the character that was focused on. Megatron isn't in that intro. Starscream isn't in that intro. It was Ramjet who fought Optimus Prime. So if you want to talk about probably one of the more important and iconic G2 color schemes, Ramjet falls into that. I mean, again, he got an homage back in 2011 and the Creo custom from Sakamoto through the manga, so there is a historical significance there. So much so that as of this recording, it's sold out, unfortunately, on the Hasbro Pulse website. Now, there could be more stock in the future. I do not know. I don't want to make any promises. But as of this recording, it is sold out. It's sold out within the first day of the pre-orders going live. It says here that the pre-orders of these items will ship out August the 1st of 2021. So if you are interested in getting this and don't want to go through the scalper route or the secondary market, check some of the other distributors of toys, some of the other big toy stores. They might be able to help you out there and pick up this legendary Generation 2 color scheme. It's very fascinating because it seems like Hasbro Pulse has really been going hard on the G2 kind of homages and color schemes, while we have retail doing the Beast Wars Kingdom stuff. So we got a big flavor of 90s going on for a lot of different things. And it's actually kind of smart because the G2 stuff is early 90s, so that group of collectors are a little older and will probably have the income and the credit card to buy online, while the Beast Wars collectors are later 90s, and they might still be retail buyers and stuff that might not have a credit card. Very smart move by Hasbro from a business standpoint. Now, the only question is, now that we've seen this G2 Ramjet, we saw the Sandstorm and everything, all these little G2 color schemes that we've been getting, when are we going to get the even more obscure G2 unreleased Cloud Camo Ramjet? For people that don't know, one of the repaints that Ramjet was also going to get in Generation 2, which never ended up coming out, was a all kind of blue color scheme with cloud camouflage all over it. It was shown, I believe, at BotCon in 96, I want to say, or 97. They had it in person there on display. And maybe we'll see that color scheme. We got Sandstorm. So anything is possible, in my opinion. You know, Blackout, the G2 Blackout color scheme. You know, like of the Seeker molds. Like anything is possible at this point. And more importantly, when are we getting that G2 Starscream? that weird cream color with the white and everything. Maybe we'll see him one day too. Who knows? Gonna milk those Seeker molds as much as he possibly can. But yeah, again, 7-inch figure, $29.99. It's out there. You just got to kind of hunt for it. Hasbro Pulse is sold out as of this recording. Hopefully this changes in the future, and you'll be able to get a piece of G2 history, and that famous commercial could be redone.